Hi guys, welcome to my little paintbrush. My name is Cami and I'm super excited you're here with me today. We are entering the summer months and painting all of our favorite red, white, and blue creations. Today we get to paint a fun USA popsicle, so super simple, but you can complicate it with some fine line work. Just whatever works for you. You go at your pace and your difficulty level. So if I'm going too fast for you, go ahead and pause this video. If I'm going too slow, some of my younger artists might feel like I'm not going quite fast enough. You can fast forward a little bit and speed it up. You can also take a few days to paint this. You don't have to do it in one sitting, so do what's best for you. Hopefully you have our paint kit, because if you do, your surface is prepped and ready to go. You have all the same colors I'm going to use today, and you also have the same size paintbrushes that I'm using, which will be a number 12 flat and a number 2 detail. These are the only two brushes I'll be using for this painting. So hopefully you have something similar to that or our paint kit. If you don't, grab a piece of paper. This is an easy one to freehand. Grab a canvas, whatever you have laying around, and let's just create together. All right? Okay, let me show you my palette. We had a little malfunction with the black paint, but no worries. I like to put my colors all out like this so they're ready for me. You see it's pretty simple today, but you can also spice this up. So if you want to start with blue instead of red on your USA popsicle, that's fine. This is your painting, so you do it however you'd like. I also have a jar of water and a napkin with me. Obviously we need to wash our brush and have a napkin to wipe off the extra paint. Anyway, let's get started. I'm going to grab my number 12 flat, and I'm just going to get it wet because we are using acrylic paint, and acrylic paint must have water. Even right out of the bottle or the tube, it needs water, believe it or not. And we're going to start with our background, which for me is going to be a really light turquoise. So I'm going to get a nice scoop of white, and I'm going to come over here to my turquoise and just start combining white with that turquoise. Now I always veer on the lighter side when I am painting because paint does dry a shade or two darker than what it looks like on your palette, so just keep that in mind. But if you want a really dark turquoise, hey, like I said in the beginning, this is your painting, so you do it however you'd like. Once I have that roughly mixed, it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, sometimes I like to not mix it thoroughly so that it kind of streaks and gives different contrast to the background. But once you have it mixed, you just dive right in. And this is always the scariest part, right? Because we're going right onto this canvas or whatever surface you're painting on. I'm using a mixed media today. But it's that first step, and we're always nervous to see how that's going to go for us. But you just got to get right in there. This is a really simple object to go around this USA popsicle. I love this one for artists young and old because it's just so playful and fun, and it doesn't matter what experience you have with painting, you can enjoy it. If you are using a canvas today, for example, if you have our paint kit, you've got a wrapped canvas, we love to paint around our edges, really complete the piece. That way you can display it and it's all painted on the sides. So we tell our artists to wrap your canvas like your picture is wrapping paper. And your canvas is the gift. You would wrap that wrapping paper around and it would go, your picture would continue around the edges. Okay. We've got this section right here. This bite was taken out of our USA popsicle here, which I could never do. I have sensitive teeth, so this bite would never happen if I was eating this, but kind of a fun, give it some personality. All right, we're almost done. This background goes in really quick. If you press your bristles till they're flat up against your surface and you just push all the paint to the edge, you can usually get a nice straight line there, which we love, right? We love those nice clean edges. At least I do. I'm a very clean line person when it comes to painting. Get around the bottom. Now, if you do get in your popsicle at all with this turquoise, don't panic too much. You can do one of two things. If it's just a teeny tiny bit, let it dry and you can paint over it. If you get a lot in your popsicle, if you have a Clorox wipe handy or a damp paper towel, you can usually wipe it right out while it's wet. Okay, so the solid background is in. Now I'm going to add what I like to call ripples in my background. Kind of like if you dropped a rock into the water, it would ripple out. Kind of creates movement. I'm going to do that by having that background on my paintbrush and then dipping the corner in white paint. And then I'm going to take that white edge, that white corner there, and I'm just going to kind of go along my popsicle. I mean, who knows, maybe someone is eating this right now and it's kind of moving around. It also adds a little bit of texture, so our background doesn't look as flat. Sometimes I've heard people refer to this as like a halo around your subject matter, which you could say that too. We do this a lot with our paintings and it's just fun. I just enjoy doing it. You can blend it in to where it's just kind of barely noticeable, or you can make it really prominent and obvious that there's lighter streaks around your popsicle. Again, and you'll hear me say this a lot while we're painting together, it's your painting. So you can make it however you would like. Anytime we do that, we're much happier with the end result. If we try too hard to copy someone else exactly, it doesn't turn out the way that we would like it or that we see as beauty. And so that's why it's good to always just stick with what you love. All right. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, you can add, those ripples even more prominently in places. Sometimes I just focus on my corners. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Let's give our brush a nice wash. Make sure you're hitting the bottom of your jar when you wash your brush. And you're really almost doing like zigzags on the bottom of your brush. That's the only way to get it nice and clean. Okay, we're going to focus in on our popsicle stick next. It's really tiny, just a little bit here on the bottom. We're going to use this brown. I'm going to take a chunk of white over here and just a little bit of brown. It doesn't take a lot. You're almost making a peachy skin tone color with this. Okay, so I've got quite a bit of water in my brush. I'm just going to wipe that out. You want some water, but sometimes have a little bit too much, and that's not what we're aiming for. So I'm just going to fill this in. Now, if I was painting on a canvas, I would wrap this cute little popsicle stick all the way around the bottom of my canvas. Again, like it was wrapping paper, and that picture was continuing around the other side, okay? All right, we're gonna add a little shadow. This is like just one of the few things that you might find a little difficult about this painting. So this is one of those things, if you're an older artist, you can go for. If you're really little, maybe skip it. But I'm just gonna add a touch of the dark brown on the corner of my brush. And then I'm gonna take that corner and I'm gonna follow the inner edge of my stick and go under my little drippy here, because that would probably add a little shadow. And just like the ripples in the background, you can make this shadow as dark as you want or as light as you want. And there we go. It's kind of a fun addition, almost like you're outlining it, which is another way that a smaller artist can put that in. They can just outline it in the dark brown. All right, washing my brush again. We're gonna dive right into our red portion of our USA Popsicle. Okay, so up here is going to be red, and believe it or not, I want to add a touch of white to some red. I don't want to make pink, but red is so bright and fun, and one of the downsides to that is it doesn't have great coverage. If you want that really deep red color, you almost have to do multiple layers. So when we add white, which is our most pigmented paint, it just helps with the coverage. So there's a little tidbit of knowledge for you. Just don't add too much white. Again, you don't want to make pink for our USA Popsicle here. Okay, I'm just going to fill that in. I'm still using my number 12 flat here. I'm doing the same technique as I said in the background. Flatten your bristles. Fan them out and then hold that gathering of paint to the edge of whatever line you're trying to get a clean, crisp edge to. Now, the center color of our USA Pop is white. So if I can help it, I'm not even going to paint it because my canvas is already white. So I'm just going to kind of leave that alone. Now, if you get paint in it, I have a little speck of red that dropped in there, but if you get paint in it and you need to clean up the white, then obviously you've got white that you can do that with. Otherwise, we're just going to go around it as best we can. Here we go. And you might even feel, even with adding that white to our red paint, you might still feel like it needs another layer. That's totally fine. You can go back and give it another coat of paint. But how simple was that? Our red portion is all finished. Okay, so swishing again. You can hear that. You really want a good swish on that brush. You want all of that color out because we're going to go to blue. And of course, blue and red make purple. So if you want a purple rocket pop, this is where you would do it. I'm going to go for blue here. And I'm going to lighten my blue. So nice chunk of white again. Over to our fun blue. This is our fluorescent blue color, so it's not that phthalo blue that we typically use. And I loved the fluorescent for this particular painting. It just gave that nice light, almost sky blue that I thought was fun against that turquoise background. Okay. Remember, if your paint is at any point getting thick and clumpy, or it's almost like sticky Elmer's glue and you're struggling to paint with it, that's when you want to add water and mix that in. For me, I've got a lot of lights on me while I'm doing this recording, and so it dries up a lot faster. So really, depending on the weather where you're at, it's going to make a difference on your paint. Now you've got these big, awesome eyeballs. You can paint around them or over them. I'm going to paint over them because it's faster, and the pencil lines that we've put on your surface for you will typically rise and come through above the pigment of the paint, and so you can still see them. But I've had many artists in the past who just like get really nervous about painting over lines they need, and so you can paint around them. Especially little artists, it would be just good practice to paint around them. So you can do that too. Oh, this is just so fun. I love turquoise with red, white, and blue. I just was talking about this the other day because I was looking at all of our 4th of July paintings and most of them had a turquoise background because it just pops so cool. Okay, almost done here. Gotta come over and do this little drip. So of course you have different size brushes with you probably at home if you're an artist. If you have our paint kit, you have a number 6 round as well that I'm not using today. If at any point there's a portion of the painting that is just too tricky for you to get with the size brush you have or that I'm using, go ahead and switch brushes. I find that newer artists feel much more in control with a small brush. And more experienced artists, they feel in more control with a large brush. So you'll notice that I don't really switch brushes until I get to my detailed lines. That's because I'm just more comfortable with my big brush, but that might not be the case for you, and that's totally fine. Okay, so I kind of went through and did almost 2 layers as my paint was drying pretty quick. And now I'm going to add a little bit of shadow, same way I did on my popsicle stick. And again, this is one of those steps that you can decide as the artist if you want to do or not. But I'm just putting that darker blue, the original blue color, on the edge of my brush and going around the inner edge of my blue portion of the popsicle. Call this floating. A lot of times you're floating one shade into another. It's a little different than having like a harsh outline. And it's a good way to learn blending, kind of blending one into the other. We are going to outline this guy or girl. So if you're thinking, oh, my edges are terrible, because I'm kind of thinking that right here, it's okay, we're going to clean it up. Just keep going around, get that little drip here. And it just adds, again, just a little bit, right? Make the painting less flat looking. And look at that. Guys, we're just buzzing through this painting. I'm gonna wash that out really good. And we're gonna put our eyeballs in. I love everybody's different ideas, and you may be thinking you want to put a different expression on your popsicle. Maybe you want a sleeping popsicle, maybe you want a winking one, and you can do that. If you painted another good layer of blue over your eyeballs, you would lose them enough that you could paint whatever you wanted and you wouldn't have those big circles. So you do whatever you would like. I like these big opened eyes, so I'm going to get black on my brush. These are pretty big eyeballs, so I'm not going to switch to a smaller brush. And I'm going to put in circles. I like to always encourage artists to not rush the circle process because circles can grow. Sometimes we spend so much time on them because we just want them to be a perfect circle. I'm guilty of this. And here's the thing. This is hand painted. So no matter how hard you try and how much time you spend, you're not going to get it perfect. It's going to look hand painted, which is really the beauty of it if we just allow it to be. But here I am trying to get a nice circle, as I tell you guys not to stress about a nice perfect circle. But we're going to do our best here. Same concept, flat brush gives you a nice clean edge line. Sometimes I get these clumps and I just kind of scoot them in with my finger. and go around. It's gonna have to be good enough for me right now. Sometimes when I'm painting on an easel and I can't change the position of the canvas, it's really tricky. So you can move your canvas around. You can put it upside down. You can even put it on your lap. Sometimes it's easier to do circles from those different positions. All right, it's not perfect, but like I said, it's hand painted. Got our eyes in there. We're gonna let those dry. While they dry, we're gonna do a little bit of outlining that always scares people, but it's really minimal with this piece. So let's get our detail brush, get some water on it, and let's loosen up our black paint. We want to water it down to where it's kind of inky. I always tell people this is the melted ice cream consistency that you want. You don't want it water, we're not watercoloring, but you do want it pretty loose. And if it's loose enough, you're going to notice that your lines are so much easier. So let's just begin outlining. This isn't a full outline. This is going to be done in sections. That way we're just taking the pressure off of us of having a perfect outlined piece. So I'm going to start right up in here, and I'm just going to outline this bite mark here, just like that. Then see, I just might stop my line right there and then pick it up again right here and just kind of go as long as I feel like I can, and then reload, come down as far as I can. I might again stop and then pick up again at another place. So we're outlining it, but we're not putting that pressure on ourselves to go all the way around the entire piece, because that is hard to do, right? Okay, this one we're going to take and we're going to go around our little drip here. We're even going to outline a cute popsicle stick. I'm going to go down this one too, just like that. I might bring this up a little bit into my white, just a bit. I'm a little shaky. It's the caffeine. Anytime I have the caffeine. While I've got paint on my detail brush, I'm going to put my smile in. If you have a sad popsicle, you can do a frown, but mine's pretty happy. And that's all the lines we're gonna do. So, like I said, very, very simple. I'm gonna wash my detail brush out. While I wait for my eyeballs to dry completely, I'm gonna put some fun dots in the background. The idea behind this was just summery day, the light outside, the sun reflecting, all those fun things. I'm going to use the bottom of my brush and dip it in white paint, and then I'm just going to put dots. And you can swirl for a big dot and just pop for a little one. Kind of think about these as bubbles maybe, and don't make it snow. We don't want snow. We live in Utah, so snow on the 4th of July would be honestly not shocking, but definitely not what we would want. So don't over dot your background. Have some nice big ones and just little ones here. Just fun little addition to our popsicle. And I'm just going to put a dot of paint right there where that little red drip came. Okay, let's put reflections of light in our big eyeballs. We're going to do a nice big reflection right here. So I'm going to swirl around, and then we're going to do a little one. I love the big and little. It's my favorite way to do them. Let's do it again over here. Swirl. dot. Okay, wipe the bottom of your brush out so you don't accidentally stab yourself with that paint and get white on your clothes. The last step before I sign my name is I'm going to put a smiley face on the base of each eye. This is always kind of a silly thing when I'm teaching that people are like, oh, why are we doing that? This really brightens the eyes and makes these little eyes so happy. So I'm just making sure that they're dry enough, and then just, like I said, it's just a smile at the base of the eye. We're gonna do the other one. Oh my gosh, love it. Okay, I lied. We have a highlight to do real quick. We've got to highlight the popsicle, and highlights are, again, nobody likes to do them in art class, but you've got to add light to your painting. It wakes it up. I'm going to put white on the corner of my brush here. It's just damp, but it's not dripping with paint by any means. And I'm just going to go in this corner. And I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to highlight down here, just barely on my popsicle stick. That little highlight makes a huge difference. Okay guys, let's sign our name. Most important step, because we own our art, we're proud of it. Look at this painting. This is so fun. Oh, forgot the top of my C. Listen, this would be so cute displayed for the 4th of July, anywhere in your room or entry table of your house for everybody to see. I would love to see your painting, so tag us on social media, hashtag my little paintbrush. And if you had fun painting with me today, give me a thumbs up, and I can't wait to paint with you again. Bye-bye.